Hi guys, I'm Josie, the Mindful Cook, and I'm going to start a little weekly series on Monday meals. Now the reason for that is because if you want to eat in a way that really honours your health and well-being, you're trying to eat better, that kind of stuff, then a little bit of meal planning can go a long way. Now sometimes when I speak to my clients about that, they're like, meal planning? You know, I've got to spend 40 minutes planning what I'm going to eat for the week. And the truth is, it doesn't have to be that difficult. And actually, you know what, if you have got time to do that, brilliant. If you've got time to sit down on a Sunday and do that, and that is kind of the advice I give most of my clients, to do that. But if you don't, ultimately all you need to know really is what you're going to eat the next day. And that's a rule of thumb that I've always kind of followed. So it just takes a pain out of it if you know what you're having in a busy week just the day before, really, so that you can do your shopping and organise yourself properly. Another thing that I say is Monday is always a day when you're feeling weary, when you might be feeling a bit blue because the weekend's over and all that kind of stuff. And it's probably the one day in the week when you're most likely to make a rubbish food decision just because you're tired and frankly you can't be bothered. So that is what this series is all about. Over the next few weeks, I'm just going to show you a handful of meals, one every Monday, that I can promise you can whiz up in like 10-15 minutes from ingredients to plate. And you know, the ingredients are really easy to get hold of and all that kind of stuff. So Monday meal planning, some ideas, and just I'll show you how it's all pulled together, starts here. Okay, so first up, the recipe I'm going to take you through tonight is my perfect pasta pesto. Now when it comes to pasta and carbohydrates, we really shouldn't be cutting them out of our diet. In my online course I talk quite a bit about this. It's all really about getting carb smart, so making sure that we're eating the right kind of carbohydrates that are going to break down slower in our system and thus release their sugars slower. So when it comes to pasta, there's some great varieties around at the moment. I always go for whole wheat, or in here I've got a little mix actually, some really nice buckwheat pasta around at the moment. There are loads of gluten-free options if you're intolerant. So I'm just going to show you, there's a green pea one around at the moment that I quite like. There is a spinach version that Caesar Change is doing. And I actually tried a quinoa one the other day when I had a friend round who is a celiac. So there's lots and lots to choose from. And what I suggest is that you just keep it to a 70-gram portion. And actually when you cook your pasta up, 70 grams per person, kind of really fluffs up and makes a really decent sized portion when you look at it. So don't avoid pasta, just, you know, pick the right stuff and manage your portion sizes. This meal is a great meal for just pulling out of the fridge anything that you've got left over from the weekend. All you need as basics in the cupboard are your pasta. The real basics are some nice sun-dried tomatoes in a nice oil, because actually you use a bit of the oil to fry them off. Some black olives, just standard in a jar. Black olives are absolutely perfect. A little bit of parmesan. And I've got a pesto recipe that I make that's on my website. And often if I've got a bit of time on a Sunday, I'll make it up. But if you don't, from a jar is absolutely fine. Just a couple of tablespoons of that will be absolutely fine. And the great thing about it is you get to use up everything else that you have, because obviously I'm always going to say you've got to chuck your veggies in. So what I've got here that is literally left from the weekend is peppers, broccoli, I've got some beautiful asparagus that I got off the market, and I've got some sugar snap peas. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chuck them all in. So I'll show you that in a bit. In terms of cooking my pasta, a little trick is I always put a little bit of olive oil into the pan so it doesn't stick together. Season it, maybe put in a little bit of lemon juice, that kind of thing always makes it taste great and not too sticky and all that kind of stuff. So brilliant, there they are the ingredients. Essentially just, you know, use whatever you've got in the fridge that feels like it's going to go with pasta, but most of it really does, and something like sugar snap peas really gives it a crunch and stuff like that. I will put a link in the post here to the full recipe so that you can see the original recipe, but never be afraid to play around with it a bit, because it always makes for an interesting meal. And here is how to pull it together.
And there it is, sizzling away nicely. And then you just plate it up. Obviously, actually this is for two tonight, so one of us is going to get slightly more asparagus than the other. But you get the gist, and you can just top it with a lovely bit of Parmesan. Perfecto!